We are live. Welcome to the New Earth Project live stream. And today I have my brother Rome Grayson here. And today we are going over empathic sensory increase. And to start this, I think it's first and foremost the most important to understand what is an empath. So an empath is someone who is highly in tune with their emotions and can pick up on the energy of others. And they can literally pick up on the energy, like they can literally pick up on the energetic fields of other human beings. And I think it's very important to note that since you're able to pick up on the energetic beings of others, it's very important. Like not all of this energy that you're picking up is going to be positive. Like there is negative aspects, and there's negative people and there's negative emotions. And so the best thing for an empath is to understand that they can pick up on other people's energies. So they need to create boundaries, and they need to create a framework for themselves, and to not let people step on them, because there's a lot of empathic people who, yes, it is extremely good to be an empath and be empathetic towards others and appreciative and all those good things. But if you're always trying to go out of your way and like please other people, you're going to end up being used and walked over, and you're going to be a people pleaser, essentially. And it's good to be empathetic. You don't want to be a people pleaser. However, you have to set your boundaries with people, and you have to create that framework, like I said. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that, Brother Rome?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. There are so many levels that, and you were speaking to that, so many levels of being empathic. And I think it's good to know when you're going through an awakening, when you're going through your first part of the awakening, it is one of the awakening indicators. And it is so dominant at times, and it can be so confusing, because when it comes on, you're not programmed to be mindful of the other energies that are around you. Mm-hmm. Now that you come into an awakening consciousness, you have these sensories that have been switched on. And you can feel not only other people's energies, but you can also feel other people's emotions. And like you said, Jake, when you are experiencing an emotion, when you're going through this process, it might not be you. It might be someone that you work with. It might be an emotion from someone that you're related to. It might be someone that's just in a room with you. Depending on how sensitive you are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yep, 100%. And I think it's very important to note, because like significant others, I know a lot of people, I was watching some YouTube videos, and there was one common theme, and it was that mainly they could pick up their, like the empaths, they could pick up their significant others' emotions very easily and process it very well, probably because they spend a lot of time together, and their auras and their energetic fields are merging together. And so you guys are literally connected, like at the heart, you guys are connected. Did I just accidentally? Okay, no, I'm sorry. But yeah, so as an empath, I think it is naturally, or it's important that, sorry, just at college,
They come.
Yep, I'm in college, there's some of that. But yeah, so as we continue to raise our vibration and expand our consciousness, we have to do it in a manner, we have to do it in a proper manner. And that would be setting your boundaries, and knowing when your emotions and your thoughts aren't your own, and creating that structure for yourself, to where you are able to then understand more easily and allow this natural ability that you have to become a superpower and it becomes a superpower. Instead of weighing you down and picking up on all these negative energies, you're able to just weave right through it and be like, yeah, you know what? That wasn't my negative thought that I had at the gym. It was the guy right next to me who just had a relationship breakup and he's all sad and depressed emotionally. Um, but I think the second biggest thing is the senses, like the sensory part about this aspect. So we have our five senses, well, six if you want to count intuition. So touch, taste, smell, hear, vision, um, and intuition I put on there. And the increase or and the increase in your senses is the most vital aspect of it, because you're literally having a higher energetic feeling of these senses, and you can have a higher understanding of your intuition, and you can dive into yourself, and you can explore and learn new things about yourself. Just be very in tune with your emotions and yourself.
Yeah, when you are spend more time being mindful in your present space, you allow yourself to get out of your emotional state, and being empathic and coming across your empathic abilities is very much being in your emotional space, right? And we all know that when you're too much in one area, when you're too much in your emotional space or you're too much in your head space, right, it can be very confusing. It can be very, very conflicting. So being mindful of this allows you to take yourself to another space, your inner self, right, your higher conscious, and allows you to see things in a different perspective. So when you go through an emotional change or you go through an emotional flux during the day or during the evenings, of course, a lot of always happens in the evenings for me. But when you go through these flux, you can pull yourself away with your awareness, right, and being mindful of what's going on. And it is so much easier to guide you through these times of change.
Yeah, I think being mindful is one of the biggest aspects of is because like just being mindful of your emotions, your thoughts, just your energy, just being mindful of yourself, just all of your being throughout the day is literally the biggest aspect. Like living in the present moment is what allows you to be able to pick up and understand, like, okay, maybe these energies are not mine, maybe these energies are mine. Like it allows you to become more in tune with yourself. Like you said, you're like your emotional spazzes or whatever happens in the evening or later on through the day. That is because you are in tune with your emotion, or you are in tune with yourself, and know how your body reacts in its emotional states. um with that being said, I would like to discuss I honestly hit all the talking points that I wanted to cover. Is there anything else that you'd like to?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different talking points that we can bring up. Look, talking about awakening indicators, and part of that part when you come to this state of your awakening, right? And like we mentioned before, there are just so many different layers of it, right?
Yeah.
First, it starts off like a little tickle, and you're a little confused, and it seems like maybe you're grumpy, or seems like maybe you're just emotional. Like everything seems to. For me, I went through a spat where I was just emotional and crying all the time. Anything that would upset me was like I just got tearful. I'm like, where is it coming from? Like, this is not my normal personality, right? This is not normally how I act and react over certain things. And of course, it takes self-reflection to see that there is a change, to see that there is a part of you that is transforming into a new thing. Oh, hey, look, Stephanie's in the waiting room.
Yep.
Yeah. And once you're going through these processes of changing, that's what I was talking about. It can be confusing, right? But it's so powerful because you, like you said, Jake, you come to be more awareness of yourself, right? You see yourself from third person's perspective, and that third person's perspective is always beneficial for your your guidance and your growth. So when you get to that part and you start realizing what is going on, well, let's say this. How do you get to that part where you realize what is going on? I think that's like the big question. How was it for you?
For me, like for my awakening, I first started out just kind of not knowing what really was happening. Like I like couldn't like I knew it like what was happening whenever I first started my awakening was something psychic. So I understood that I had to start to be in tune with myself more to understand this and try to develop these skills. But yeah, like it was more of like a gradual for me. I remember just being very emotional, like this over like just like like my girlfriend at the time or whatever, and it's just like it's an eye opener to understand and realize like how like I'm like why am I feeling like this, like
Was
why.
it was it like all your emotions were just accelerated, amplified to be even
Yes,
more enriched? That's how it was
exactly.
for me too, right? It
Yeah,
doesn't matter if I was mellow and in peace, or if I was disturbed, or something upset me, or I would
yeah,
watch a movie and you know the emotions and the music in the movie. It was just everything was just like
everything, yeah,
overrated for a while, right? So
exactly, it's
and then
euphoric in a way
it takes a little while to like batten that
because
down,
it's a new level of conscious.
and then
It's yeah,
so
literally a new level of
hey,
consciousness, a new
before we go any further,
awareness.
do you have a way to let Stephanie in to the?
She's in here. Are you not in here,
I'm
Stephanie?
here. No, I'm here. I'm
Oh,
chilling.
there
I
she
was,
is.
I was just
Stephanie's here.
listening.
See, I
Yeah,
didn't know
I was
that you
gonna
were there.
say,
Hey, girl.
she's right there, man.
Sneak attack, guys. Watch what you're
Yeah,
saying. I'm just kidding.
hey, jump right in. I'm sure
Yeah,
you have as well as experience as we do.
yeah.
So yeah, thanks for that. I actually think that the empathic sensitivity was probably the first thing that I ever experienced along my journey before I even knew it was a spiritual awakening. I found that I was having lots of emotions, especially in public places, that like
Yeah.
in public places, it's like massively overwhelming. And like you guys were just saying, the height to which I feel emotions is literally as if I was getting hit with a truck. Like I literally feel that emotion. Okay. Like it's
Yeah.
not like, oh, I'm kind of sad today. It's like, ah, you know, and then I gotta like process that, or I'm like super happy. I'm like, ah, you know, like
Yeah.
it's so much. And I love that level of, I guess if it's that level of consciousness or whatever, like I'm being able to be fully present through the emotion or fully present through what I'm feeling in order to process that and kind of let it out the way that it needs to be. So going back to when it first started, when I was in public places and stuff, honestly, I thought that I had social anxiety for a really long time. I just thought that I like couldn't go out in public. I thought people just made me anxious or whatever because, you know, I was also a psych major in college and have that degree. Like there's different variations of like understanding kind of what's going on. And it wasn't until fairly recently, like a couple of years ago, when I started studying also Dr. Judith Orloff. She's a psychiatrist and she talks about the empath, how like 1 in 5 people are naturally like lightning conductors and things like that. And it's kind of like working with that energy. And basically you pick up other people's energy from around you without even trying to do it. And from my psych class, I did take a neuropsych class in college, and it was all about like we learned about mirror neurons, for example. So if I yawn, like that would kind of prompt you to yawn.
Right.
And then it's the same kind of a premise where my brain's mirror neurons like are picking up what you're feeling even though you're not telling me, you know. So like that was one of the things that just kind of came full force. And I really again thought that was social anxiety, and I had seen doctors about it. They literally had prescribed me Xanax. Like Xanax wasn't helping, nothing was helping. So I was like, it's probably not that if that's not helping. And even a couple of years ago, actually, this is when I was still in law school, mind you, I lived in Boston. So that was like aggressive for my energy. I was picking up things all the time from everybody because it was a busy city. And I ended up going, my parents ended up winning tickets, I think, to like a Red Sox game. And they really wanted to come up to Boston and like go out with me. And I knew that this was going to be something like taxing for me, but I was like, let's do it. I want to like see you guys, whatever. We went out. I literally cried like 3 separate times, like in public, full mental breakdowns, because it was just like so much that I was picking up from other people. And like when you're in very public places like that, it's hard to discern different energies. So it kind of comes through as mass anxiety and stress. But like if you're in an isolated setting with one person or something, and if you are able to keep your emotions generally neutral, or like, you know, what state is like your natural state, when you're working with people and talking to people and, I don't know, interacting with people, if your emotions like go off for no reason, like it's probably an empathic like pickup of somebody else. So that's kind of when I'm like, hey, I wasn't just like angry or something. Like, can you explain, like, are you okay? Like, not obviously in that way, but if it's not me being like, I know I didn't just get triggered to be angry. So like, why am I feeling angry? It's the other person. And like your mirror neurons are literally receiving what they are feeling.
Wow.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think one of like the biggest things you were talking about, that I picked up on at least, was you were talking about how you processed like your traumas, or your emotion, or yeah, wasn't it? You had to process like whenever you randomly just feel this sad state or your angry state or this frustrated state, it's very crucial to process and sit with your emotions and feel it through, and then you're able to heal from that and you're able to prosper from that. Because if you don't, and you sit there and you let that negative energy just build up inside you, it'll destroy you, and then you'll have a breakdown. Like it'll literally destroy you if you keep taking on everyone's negative energy without processing it and transmuting it.
Totally. And like that's a lot with like bottling up. And I know especially for stigmatized, like, I don't know, like generalized in our society, I feel like men are generally taught not to share their emotions. And even
Yeah.
women are kind of looked down on for like sharing their emotions and like in even like public settings or whatever. But it's like that matter of kind of transmutation, it's very important, because if you're like, oh, I'll just, you know, hold on to this for later, you know, you don't process it later. Like it'll come up eventually when it's like exploding, right? So like I kind of go through and I let things process as they come up, because I honestly used to bottle my emotions. I used to, you know, numb them. I used to use substances to not feel things because I felt things so heavily. And then it was only, you know, years down the line when I came into where I am now, and I was like, oh shit, like looks like we got to process all that shit that you didn't want to talk about when you were 16. Like, so it doesn't go away. Like bottling it up doesn't make it go away. Why?
Yeah, I want to bring back a point that we were talking about earlier, Stephanie. You brought up a great point. It's about being in public places. You know, a lot of true empaths, very strong empaths, will stay away from public places or crowds or concerts, or, you know, that kind of atmosphere, because it is too intrusive. It's just too much, too overwhelming. And, you know, there are ways that you can train yourself, you know, with just a little bit of effort. You can train yourself to guide these feelings or suppress these, you know, suppress. I can't remember which one it is. To push them down a little bit so you don't, you know, turn the volume down a little bit so you don't have the sensory overload when you go out to a public place. I'm sure all of us have had the same thing. You know, when you walk into establishment, or you walk into a room, you know, when someone just had an argument and you feel it instantly. Or when you walk into a store and you realize the employees are just like, are they happy or they're not happy, or someone's not getting along with someone else, you can just sense it right away. And then, you know, later you can construct a way to feel it through the background noises and all that, and you can focus in on something where you can get to the point where you can actually sense what someone's feeling. You could tell without them saying anything, because you feel it in yourself. So it's good and bad, because well, it's not really bad. It's good in a lot of ways once you get yourself in control with it. But when it starts, when you begin with it all, it can be so confusing. So just be calm and try to stay focused.
Totally. A really good point too. And you and I were discussing prior about like turning that dial down and stuff. And I definitely think it's very useful in lots of circumstances. Like
Yeah.
for me personally, I don't find it very useful in like public settings, only because there's so many emotions. Like say you're at a game or something, like there's just so many people. And as we were describing that, the thought of, if you remember in like, I don't know, like science class, they talked about diffusion. If you like spray a perfume in one corner of the room, it's highly concentrated, but then it like diffuses out amongst the whole thing. So like your high energy, if you're not able to like contain that, and you're not able to hold your energy and like maintain that boundary, your energy is gonna, you know, help raise the collective, which is great. But at the same time, you're gonna lower your energy, kind of having more of that pull in so that it evens out. So it's a lot.
And even example to that, if you're in a room and there's another individual with a high energy, either positive or negative, and you're not being mindful, you know, your connection, your empathic connection is going to ribbon right to that person, whoever's the strongest one in the room, for whatever reason. So that's another reason to be mindful, especially when you're in public places, of your surroundings and what's going on. Not only what you see and hear with your regular senses, but with your empathic senses as well, because you don't want to have that, I don't want to call it an alpha energy or a strong energy, soaking in.
Totally.
Yeah. I liked the point where you said, whenever you walk into a room after someone's just left angrily, or they're in there and they're angry, you walk into that room and you just feel like, you can just feel like that strong energy. That is some strong energy. And another thing is, you're able to detect when people are just lying to you, and it's just naturally, like you can sit here and just, you can tell me all the lies you want, like
Yep.
like you can just like, no, like I know you're lying, you know. It's like, it's just intuitive. You can just look them right in the eyes and be like, did that really happen, or are you lying? You know.
It's literally
Yeah.
the worst when you say that and like they gaslight you when you're like, and they're like, no, nope. And like, it's just kind of funny because I'm like, I feel it though. Like,
I know you're lying. Yeah, I've had
know
like,
you're
I have
lying.
a feeling. My body doesn't lie to me. My gut doesn't lie.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. And I feel like a lot of people that don't experience the empathic type of abilities like that, they have a lot of trouble with people that do. Like when I am able to call somebody out for, I'm like, why are you lying? Like I can feel that. Like I know I wasn't feeling this way about this.
Okay.
Like, what do you mean? And then like it's just denial, especially if people are not ready to like accept, I guess, that people have these abilities or anything, or they're not on that wavelength. It's kind of like just a very harsh reality. And I've definitely experienced a lot of circumstances where I've done this with people, and like in a very loving way, just in the sense of like, be honest with me, I'm here to like talk. And it's met with like denial because they're not ready to accept it themselves. So that's like a very hard catch 22, because it's like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, if they're not ready to accept it. Like I can't make you do something, you know? So it's just kind of a matter of like, almost, I don't know, like regulating that yourself too, if that's the case. And like,
for myself, Stephanie, what I do in a lot of cases, I don't call them out on it unless it's pertinent to the conversation or the, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times I just let it go, and then you just know. I mean, because like you said, they're not ready to, you know, have that come out. So, you know, to bring it to them, you're going to automatically be in conflict. So, and sometimes it's just better just to let it go, and just to, you know, to know that they're on their path and it's going to be all right. I mean, you know it anyways. So, and we move forward, you know, because when you can feel someone else's energy, oh man, it can be more telling sometimes than what they actually say. You know, not just like the lies or the positives, but I mean, you can tell when someone's really happy to be around you, or when someone's staying and doesn't want to be near you, or you can tell when someone gets agitated, you know, or bored.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's great for lovers.
I'm like, is it?
It could be crazy in relationships too, you know what I'm saying? You know, knowing your partner's feelings all the time. And then if they're going to be,
harsh.
you know, honest with you, yeah, it could be.
It's harsh, especially in relationships like that. And I guess, yeah, you're right. Definitely in the sense of like, you won't bring it up. But I feel like in certain circumstances, I have brought it up only because it was pertinent to the conversation. So I'm like, wait, why? That's not the energy I was like, I don't know, that was like very off course from what I assumed would happen based on the nature of what we were talking about. So like I try to like help and fix it or whatever, and then it makes it worse. So it's definitely that catch-22 of like understanding that some people just aren't ready to like even be honest with themselves in that capacity, but it is hard. And I'm like, it's not even something that I try to do. Like I genuinely have to try not to do it because it's just my body just picks up that language. And you're so right in the sense of like if they're, you know, lying or the energy. And I guess that's the next kind of step with it, is being able to trust your intuition. And like if you can feel that they're getting this way with you, and even though they're saying it, like trust yourself and like do what's best for you in that case of like you knew it, you felt it, like why did you just go along with it thinking that, you know, I don't know, it's a lot, it's a lot to kind of
It's a
process.
big, the empath increase is a huge factor when you're just awakening. It's huge. And once you get a grasp on it, you know, things could get a lot easier, but it can be very confusing. Yeah, so many different layers.
Yeah, I learned a quote that kind of correlates with that stuff, and it was like, "Don't trust somebody who lies to themselves." So it like totally clicked. It's like, dude, like,
What's the quote again? Wait a minute. What's the quote again?
don't trust somebody who lies to themselves.
Oh,
So
yeah.
essentially, if I'm sitting here telling myself all of these lies, just like, you know, doing partying, like, you know, I'm doing good, you know, yeah, I'm doing good, and then like going out, and then just someone's like, hey man, how you doing? You know, I'm doing great, you know, but inside you feel miserable, and you're like I could feel that you're not feeling great, you know. It's like someone who's stuck in denial. It it's literally like, why would I'm not going to waste my energy like keep saying like, I actually know, like I know you're lying, like they'll just keep denying it. So it's literally just a continuous cycle, and you're literally just wasting your energy if you're gonna keep sitting and keep arguing with them in denial when they're in denial.
Yeah, you guys are super right on that. And I feel like there's a good, like, I don't know, in that moment, I kind of just like thought of like a good, not like segue, but a good like middle ground for that, I guess, is like if it's, you know, pertinent to the conversation, you can kind of just be like, you can talk to me, whatever. And if they deny it, like just don't even
Yeah.
bother, because they're literally just not in that energy to like be honest with themselves, as you said.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a, you know, try, but like if they're not ready, like at the end of the day, you are like, we are here to hold this like positive vibration. And if other people aren't ready to like hop up and like hop on that higher frequency, like you don't need to bring yourself down to like drag them up, because at the end of the day, that doesn't work. Like you can try to pull them up or whatever, but if they're not going to do it for themselves, then it's not going to work. So
Yeah,
like, sorry, I was
yeah.
going to say the quote,
Keep going.
the quote, like, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, but if you teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. You know, and it's got to be like that. They have to want to learn, because if they're just looking for handouts or like a tag along, that's like draining your energy. That's, you know, that's setting you back too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. Shoot, I had something I wanted to say to that. I just forget it.
Sorry.
Well, let me jump in real quick. You know, I wanted to add, because we talk about when you feel other people's emotions, or you feel that someone's being dishonest with you, or things aren't going that way. It's a natural instinct for us to just hold them in a negative space, because you have to be mindful that they're humans, that they're on their path. And really the best way to be an empath, or just help grow your empathic skill, is to use your heart center, to use your love. So when you feel that negative energy, turn it over and give and share back. Remember, we're exchanging energy, we're exchanging emotions, right? So if someone's in a room and they're hostile, right, in your mind, in your heart, you could just send them positive energies. You can, and just, it works, believe me. It works. You send energy long distance, you can send energies across the room, you can send energies through time and space. So if you need to project energy that, and you feel negative, turn it over and project positive. That's the way I roll.
Yeah, you have to transmute that negative energy in order to continue to raise your vibration and raise the collective's vibration as well.
All right, great.
Totally.
Good.
I think a lot of it too, in that space where you're feeling that and like you're picking up other people's, like, say we were just using the example of like hostile energy. There's a quote from this book that I love, and it's called The Freedom of Choice by Dr. Thomas Chalko. He's an Australian scientist, and it's free or by donation. It's by donation on his website, and it's like a free PDF, or I mean, you know what I mean, like a downloadable PDF that you can like donate a couple dollars or whatever you're able to kind of put forward. But it's a really great read because in the quote, it's like if a dog barks at you, like you're not going to bark back at the dog, you know what I mean? Like that's just, you don't need to go that way to like communicate something. So it's like saying that people do the best with their level of consciousness at the time. They can only operate out of what their level of consciousness is. So like if they're just not capable of it, that's just like they're not there yet, and that's like on that journey. So it's a matter of transmuting it, and it's a really hard, I guess, step for people who are very empathic, or you're opening up your empath senses to be able to discern like, oh, they're not acting that way because of me. Like it's because of them. Like it has nothing to do with me, honestly. Like if you think about it, like, you know, so if you kind of think about it that way, like the way that they're acting even towards themselves, or they're denying it or whatever, it's like a matter of their own energy, their own reflection. And like it's, you know, don't take things personally, right? So it's a matter of like understanding and discerning, like everything's a mirror too, where it's like, oh, like I'm feeling this way because they're feeling that way, but like, you know, it's kind of like a whole psychological analyzation, I guess.
Yeah, I liked you're talking about like you were talking about, what was it, like negative energy or something like that, some of that aspect of like that. But I've had like friends who will constantly just continuously just be nothing but like negative to me. Like I just like I'm just messing around, bro. But it's like, no, like I feel like you have some sort of emotional traumas that you haven't processed yet, that is just making you unleash just negative energy on all your friends. Like literally just like casually joking around with them, just like calling them names and whatnot, you know, swearing at them, and just it's very like low vibrational to be around, because it's like it starts to make you wonder. It's like, what am I doing wrong as a person? And once you're in tune with yourself, you're like, okay, you know what? I'm really not all these horrible like names that I'm being called. I'm that's him. That's his energy. You know, that's his emotional traumas that he just hasn't processed, that is allowing him to act in a hostile way towards his friends and thinking it's funny. But
It's like hurt people, you know? So that's why the transmutation is so important. Where, I mean, again, I think we've discussed in past streams that like healing isn't linear. Healing isn't linear. It kind of follows that Fibonacci spiral of like, it'll, you know, you'll complete it and then it'll come back around, and it's like a different level of conscious awareness for you to interact that energy, right? The bandwidth. And it'll come back around. So it's important to realize like, it's a matter of, like healing is an ongoing process, and it's important to just kind of accept yourself with where you are. And it's like about not having judgment for where you are. So I think that's kind of the first step too, with a lot of people, even, you know, if they were in those negative mindsets. Because I was a person like in college, I literally used to have like I had friends that like dropped me as a friend because I was so negative, like specifically told me this, you're just so negative, like I can't be around you, all of this, which is like funny to look at now because I'm very much the opposite. But like I came from that, you know what I mean? Like we all start somewhere. You are capable of what you've been taught. Like you grew up as a result, like the way that you think, the way that you act, the things that you say are a result of all the people and all of the things that you were around. That's the only way you knew how to live. You couldn't experience something you don't know how to live. So like as you're, you know, moving along, just know that it's an ongoing process that anybody can do. Anybody can start. And like, it's important to not judge yourself for where you're currently at, but like appreciate those past versions of you, because without those past versions of you, you wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? So it's a big process. And look at it now more of like, I look back on that and I think, wow, I had such amazing progress. Like I am very proud of myself of how far I've come. And, you know, whereas we can always, you know, make more improvements. Like I said, healing's not linear. And I think it's a lifelong journey. You should strive to just continue being the best that you can be, like physically, you know, what you're capable of, like try to be the best, but appreciate those versions of yourself. And it's important not to judge. It's important to know like, hey, that's awesome. I grew from that, where like if I looked at my 16-year-old self now, like I didn't know it was me, I wouldn't recognize them. You know what I mean? With that energy, like I just am a completely different person, which I'm very proud of. And in the sense where not everybody's going to get that, but like it's something that everybody is capable of doing should you choose. Again, we can't pull you up and make you do it. But if that's something you want, it's very possible for everybody.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest aspects is to never compare yourself with another human being. You can only compare yourself with yourself and your past self and like how far you've come. Because if I'm constantly sitting here comparing myself to, I don't know, Elon Musk, I'm like, dude, like why am I not as rich as him? Why am I not as smart as him? Like why am I not as wealthy as him? Why am I not as high status? Like, you know, like you can't, like Elon Musk is, I'm 18 years old. He's what, in his 30s or 40s or however old he is. And he has been working at it for years at a time. It's constant progress. It's small steps to make big leaps. And you have to take the small steps in order to take the big leaps. And that is what we're doing here currently. We're taking small steps to make a big leap with New Earth. And with that being said, do you guys have anything else that you would like to add or say before we get into meditation?
I was just gonna throw on the analogy from what you just said, where like don't compare yourself. I actually just posted a I like don't even know what you call them now, like those, they're not like memes, but it's like important soul messages like via a meme, like
oh yeah,
yeah, I don't know. So it's like yeah, it was a picture of a crayon and a spiritual meme, a soul meme, I call them sometimes, but it was a picture of a crayon and then a picture of a pencil. And it was like, oh, I'm not sharp enough, or, oh, I'm not colorful enough, you know? And it's like, comparison is where your individuality kind of dies, because it's like, you don't need to be like that crayon. You know, you have a different purpose, just like you and Elon Musk. Like we all have different purposes, and it's important not to, I don't know, assume somebody else's footsteps. It's important to kind of forge your own path. And that's kind of hard in a lot of contexts, because we're taught to fit in these little boxes. But it's important to just like be yourself.
Yeah. No, I heard a very powerful quote today. It was like, everyone is born an original, but most people die a copy. Dude, when I heard this quote, I was like, wow, like that is a fire quote, because I can't sit here comparing myself to others, and it is like, why am I not as famous? Why am I not as rich? Because it'll constantly put you in that negative mindset. You cannot do that. The best thing that you should ask yourself is, how do I be a better me? Like, what can I do?
Well, yeah, look, Jake, you are absolutely on correct, hammer on the nail. We are fractals of every person we've ever come in contact with. And the more people that we've had the most contact with, we are most alike. The way that you get around that, Mr. Jake, is you try to be conscious to take the best out of every one of them. You really do. You learn from your lessons, and like Stephanie talked before, you go through your downsides. You go through your downsides, so you learn, to grow on the upside. But you try to take the best out of every person that you come across. Every emotional interaction, right. That's the way I try.
Yeah, you can never lose. You can only win and learn, and I think that's pretty important on everyone's spiritual path or journey. Is like, it's like you said, like healing's not linear. Like it's not just a straight linear path. Like you'll have ups and downs, and you just got to navigate your way through that, and in order to maintain peace and prosperity.
And like you said, sorry, just really quick, like you had mentioned, where it's like, don't take advice from people that like lie to themselves and things like that. That's such an important thing to remember when you're on this journey. It's so important, because if you're like out here, I'm going to be myself, I'm going to do whatever, the people that knew you when you were in that box are going to judge you. They're going to be like, oh, well, this and that. And I've actually posted a TikTok about that too, where it's like the people that judge you, for example, tattoos are still so like taboo in a lot of like older generations. And I think it's because like those people that are mad about those things, again, that's a reflection of them. It has nothing to do with me. If you think about it, they're probably mad that they are, you know, conforming to this box and they don't even know it. It's subconscious that they're mad at me for not being in this box. They're mad, you know, about my tattoos, but it's really about me not giving a fuck what anybody else thinks. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tap my face. Let's talk about it. You know?
No offense to Rome, but older people, for some reason, like older people, like I get like respect your elders and whatnot, but like I'm gonna treat you with the same amount of respect you treat me, regardless if you're 50 years old. Like if Rome, like Rome's older than me, obviously. So if he was just sitting here being an asshole to me, like I'm not gonna like. I mean, the right thing to do would be obviously would fight that with love, but like I'm not going to sit there and just accept like what he's telling me and accept it as my divine truth.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely like almost like an older control mechanism from like the older generations where they're like, oh, respect your elders. Like even if like you know that like what they're saying is not nice nor right, like you are supposed to be quiet because they're older than you. But like that doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing better. Like maybe you're rude. Like
exactly, like old people are entitled, and I'm being dead serious. Like I love old people, but sometimes the age, like just because they're older in comparison to you, you have to listen to what they say as truth. And I just sometimes that I'll just sit there and just like I'll like listen because like I'll listen, but I'm not going to accept it as truth if it's wrong, if it's blatantly wrong. You know, I'm not gonna
perspectives, and like especially the older generations, again, like just, you know, like even like grandparent age and things like that, they've just been in this modality of that energy for so long where it's like respect your elders. So like if you come out here and you're like that's not cool, you know, and they're like, oh, that's so disrespectful of them to like talk to me like that, because they are operating in that, you know, respect your elder mentality where they're not even gonna, they're in denial that what they're saying is ignorant. You know what I'm saying? Like they're in denial because they're just stuck to their old way of living. Again, that's important to remember, that it's a reflection of them and not you.
Let's take in consideration also that older generations, like myself, didn't have a conscious awakenings and awareness back in their days, right? This is a shift. This is a pivot that's happened just recently, you know, and we all can agree with that. You know, I mean, I don't care where you want to start, say it started 7, 10, 5, 3 years ago. It's a shift that's just basically new. So when you talk about the next generation, the older generation, man, they're swimming in soup. They had no idea what was going on. And, you know, even our parents, they were just going through life trying to figure things out. There was no guidebooks, right? So I think now whoever's going through this awakening now is going to be the ones to teach and to open up the new programming. Like you said, stuff that's the old mundane way of doing things. And now there's a new way of doing things. And the more that we speak openly about this and help and teach, and that's a lot of what the Awakening Indicators is, and what New Earth Project is about helping, bringing people in, teaching them about what's going on, and teaching them how to teach other people and get them out to be more awareness so we can make that shift in the conscious level. Yeah. So
totally.
I mean,
and
don't hold it against them old people. Don't know.
I was just gonna say, just like you mentioned it earlier, like it's a matter of like showing compassion and transmuting that hate into love, where it's like they are, you have to just understand that, like you just mentioned, it's literally that they've been in those mindsets for so long. It's just like a harder programming to break if you think about it in that context, where it's just those neural pathways are forged so deep because that's what they've been doing for their entire life, that like, you know, like maybe they are open to hearing about change, maybe they are open to it, but it's a matter of like, you know, like transmuting that kind of breathing, like discussing and kind of coming to those terms and, you know, helping them where they're willing to accept the help to, you know, learn that fishing skill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it reminds me of the story of Dante's cave, right? Plato's Dante's cave, where the people in the cave just see the shadows from the fire, and that's all that they know. They're all life. So when one goes out and gets free and comes back and explains to them, there's a whole new world out there. They don't believe it because they so programmed with the old way.
Yeah.
So we have to be patient. We have to show them, you know, lots of love and give them space and understand, like we said before, that they're on their path. So
I love that. Rome, you should totally make a TikTok about that example. Like, I love that example. I think that's really profound. Yeah, that would definitely help a lot of people, I think, understand that.
Maybe we will. Yes.
Yeah, like you guys were talking about the older generation. Since they're older, they've obviously been on this earth longer than a younger generation has. But they are more programmed to the matrix. Like they're more programmed to live in the scarcity mindset, go to work, go to college, pay your bills, like just nada yada yada yada. And as to whereas someone who is younger and hasn't like can like I had my awakening during high school, so like I could notice like this is bull crap. Like most of this, like I'm not really learning. It's just kind of finish and get out of here, and then go to college so you can do the same thing. But that's where the younger generation is less programmed because they're just naturally have been around less than the older generations have, and their reality is if they grew up with that, like with the matrix reality, like it's about to shatter soon, and it's coming. Like it'll be here eventually. So I mean, it's already here, but
Already here.
yeah. Stephanie, whenever I forgot what I said, I remembered what I said, or remembered what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
You were talking about like going out into public or something or a sporting event and like just picking up on like everyone's energy and whatnot. Um, I was before you joined, I think I was talking to Rome about how like the most important thing to do is to like create boundaries for yourself and create a structure or a framework that just completely like blocks everyone off. Like it keeps you protected, like you're not going to be able to be emotionally negated in any aspect because you are in tune with your emotions and you create that framework and you don't let people cross your boundaries.
Well, there's techniques and skills for that, blocking and projecting, and stopping other energies. I mean, I've worked with people that had an overwhelming amount of energies coming in, and one way to teach them how to control that is just to just mute it out for a little bit. Like just put a shield on them so they don't get it in. But there's all kinds of skills. It's just like anything else, like push-ups. The more push-ups you do, the stronger you do. So there's techniques and there's practices, just like meditation, right? To learn these skills, to be able to now I'm to the point where I can turn it on and off, right? Before I walk into the Walmart, I can sit there in a car and go, okay, I'm not going to feel all that gibberish when I walk in there, and then just be done with it, but if I forget, I'm like in the store and I'm like, what's going on? Oh, okay, never mind. I know what I'm doing.
Totally.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's probably one of the worst places too. I mean, the driver and motor vehicles license bureau, whatever you call it in your state, we call it the DMV, I think, around here,
DMV.
or the local Walmart. Because there's so many different energies and there's so many different expressions, and people are in different states of mind and different states of their day and a week, and and it could be overwhelming, especially when you're starting off fresh. So, I always tell people the one way you can do it to help yourself is just stay centered. Just try to stay centered. Go right here in the heart and just try to focus on what's in here, and that will be kind of
staying grounded too. Staying grounded is keeps you on your path and keeps you on your track to keep running.
So if we haven't already done like a New Earth like boundaries like webinar or web Zoom here, I think that we should add that to the list, because for me personally, like I've been through a lot of like not having my own personal boundaries, and in like relationships, in energy, like in every context possible, I just did not have boundaries because of past things, traumas, whatever. I never learned how to do that for myself. So now I'm coming into being able to like have that bubble. So that's something that I still am working on, where like, I mean, yes, definitely very important to be grounded, but like those tools and techniques for people just starting too, because I feel like I'm definitely on the lower end of that starting. So I think that would be a really helpful thing as well. But going off of that with the energies, I know that this, like, obviously the point is to kind of like mitigate and not like control, but facilitate the energies that are coming in and out. Whole Foods, the energy within a Whole Foods, guys, chef's kiss. I just love Whole Foods energy. Like the people that work there and all the people that shop there, they're so nice. And I just love the energy of Whole Foods anyway.
That's like all
Hey,
these are mine, yeah.
not to put a little plug in for myself, but over at StudioRome.space, we have a section there about our services and coachings that we have, and one of them is awakening services. And we help people go through those early awakening coaches, and we could, teach people how to do that kind of thing. I'm sorry, you were saying, Jake?
Don't think I was saying anything, but since you brought that up, if any of you guys are watching this and haven't already done so, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel of New Earth Project, and also give us a follow on TikTok. What else are we on? Instagram and
Facebook.
And we are also on Telegram. So if you
Discord too.
guys,
Just love us.
yep,
We're
we're everywhere.
everywhere.
So you guys can't escape us. So if you guys could just toss us a follow on that, that'd be greatly appreciated, and we would really love that. So with that being said, you guys want to get into meditation or
Yeah, let's give a little zen.
get a little zen?
Get a little zen.
Get a little zen. Rum, do you want to lead it? Or, I mean, I could try it. I'll lead it. You know what? I'll do it. I'll try it.
To you, Mr. Jake.
I'll try it. Here we go. It'll be nice and short and
Let me
sweet.
smudge a little bit here before we get started. A little Palo Santo burn.
All
I
right.
always like to just cleanse the air and
Yeah,
the
for sure.
energy before we do a little meditation here. A little bit for you, Jake. A little bit for
Here it
you.
is.
Steph.
Give me some of that.
A little bit for everybody watching on a replay.
All right.
Namaste. Yeah.
All right. So let's start off this meditation by just getting relaxed and getting in a comfortable position and just loosening up, stretching out the shoulders, wiggling your toes, getting the jitters out. All right. So just start by taking a deep breath.
Here we go.
And now imagine a golden ball of cleansing light. No, not golden, white light, white cleansing light. And as you take a deep breath in, you are breathing in this healing energy. And as you're exhaling, you are releasing this traumas and you're releasing all negative energies and blockages within yourself. Deep breaths. And really cleanse your lower back and your stomach and try to funnel your energy from your sacral chakra, or from your root chakra, I mean, up into your sacral chakra. Breathing in that cleansing energy, exhaling all the negative energy. Up into your sacral, or not your sacral, your, excuse me, what's your gut? What is this? Belly? I'm having a
Overplex.
Solar plex.
yeah. Yep. And breathe and allow that energy to flow into your solar plexus and let it sit with your gut, as your gut is one of your many things that helps bring your intuition. That's why we need to eat good foods, so we're able to be in tune better with our emotions and just be in tune better with ourselves. And as we keep breathing, we feel this energy, this positive energy overwhelming our body with positive vibrations. And that brings us to the throat chakra. Really taking deep breaths, getting that positive energy into the depths of our cells. Our third eye chakra is next. Just bring that energy up just a little bit from the throat into the pineal gland or your third eye and allow it to sit. Now you might be seeing colors, you might be feeling stuff, but just allow it to keep breathing in that positive energy and that healing energy. Next is the crown chakra. Imagine this golden light shooting out of your crown chakra, or excuse me, this white light. Allow it to, you feel this light and allow it to release a white light up into outer space in releasing negative energy with our exhales. Breathing in the positive, releasing the negative, and raising our collective vibration as we raise our own. So as we continue to take deep breaths, I would like for you to envision new earth and really envision it. What do you see when you hear the words new earth? What do you feel when you hear the words new earth? And allow it to just sit with you and process that for just a moment. We'll do that for 10 seconds. What is new earth to you? Now, just come back to your senses, wiggle your toes, and get your energy flowing again. Wow, that was honestly really, really positive for me. I could feel my pineal gland vibrating, and I could feel loving energy, and I was like, wow.
You were on fire, Jake. You're on fire.
Wow, thank you.
That's for Jake.
That was awesome.
It was really good.
Just guided meditation. I'll take it.
You did. And when you were like, picture and envision new earth, like, what does that feel like and everything? It was like, when you, I don't know, like if people talk about a time that you felt so happy about, like a stranger just showed you so much kindness and you're like, oh my God, like I love this. Like I feel so homey, so loved, just like nice vibrations. Like that's what I picture new earth to be like all the time. Like I just picture everybody just like, like extending that kindness, extending that love. Like the world is hard to begin with when you're, facing these transitions and getting out of these systems and breaking free of these old thought patterns and everything. So like showing somebody that compassion, and I think it's just like that domino effect where it's like you're super nice.
Really, 100%. You hit it right on the head. The domino effect, like, because if I sit here and I'm being this negative person to someone, they're gonna transmute that energy by going to be negative towards someone else. But if you were to sit there and, like you said, be positive and allow someone to soak up the positive vibrations, they really might go on and try to be positive to someone else. And that's how you collectively raise the vibration of the earth, is by raising your own vibration. And you can't do that with any negative blockages. So that's why you really just got to take some time and feel your emotions and meditate
and breathe, do some, yoga. I just did some yoga earlier. That was so nice. Like
yoga earlier.
So yeah, we did some yoga and it was like really like centering, very, very nice. It helped my back a lot too.
Yeah, no, yoga is very extremely powerful in all aspects of your life. You can just really feel it. I did it like one time and it just felt amazing. I need to just start doing it more. I need to, you know what? After I'm gonna have to do a yoga session after this,
You
honestly.
totally should. I was thinking about doing like a almost like a daily yoga and like the sense of a live stream on like my TikTok or something, or just kind of
Do
like
it.
getting people going and it'll hold me accountable. I'll do it. I'll
Do
like
it.
perpetuate that domino effect to other people, you know?
Do
Yep.
it. Absolutely.
Fine.
Thank you
I'll do
to
it.
all that have watched our live stream, and we appreciate your energy. And we hope that you're able to take something out of this live stream or this YouTube video and use it towards your own good. So thank you guys and have a good one.
NewEarthProject.info.
And wow.